Welcome into Second Down right here on ESPN Radio. Christian Gokel alongside Cody Queen and Cam Ursery. Glad you are hanging out with us on this Monday afternoon. Got a lot to dive into today. The Hawks lock up their playoff spot. The Braves take 2 out of 3 from the Milwaukee Brewers. Also got a little bit of college football talk coming your way as well. But Cody, do you feel like an immense amount of pressure right now? Because I do. Because sitting directly behind us in the studio, just observing us, the host of 3 and Out, Kevin Thomas. I mean, let's
Kevin here trying to give me a high five at first, and I'm like, "Whoa, I don't know. What are you doing over here?"
It's kind of like I said, it's a lot of pressure when the big guy show comes in here and just sits by, like you said, performance review. He's down there. You know what actually give me anxiety is if you had like a clipboard. I don't care. I don't care if anything's on. Oh, and there he goes, breaking studio rules with his phone on. But no, if you had like a clipboard and you're just sitting behind me, like, and then like nodding, and then
he always has his like phone on. There was a pre-recorded interview the other day, and in the background, you know what I heard constantly was boing, boing. Like, you've been in this business how long, dude?
But this man right here, and Cody, it is the year of the Lord 2021.
It is
right now, right? What's the one thing you can never leave home without?
Phone.
Your phone, right? Because
wallet.
A lot of people say wallet, but you can leave home without your wallet now because you
Apple Pay and all that stuff.
You have your credit card on your phone now. But Kevin came in today and just looked at me like it's a regular thing and said, "Yeah, I left my cell phone at home." I want to ask both of you guys this. Cam, I'll let you go first. How long would you last without your cell phone?
Not long at all.
Before you had to go wherever it was to retrieve it?
Probably about 20, 30 minutes.
Before you start itching?
Yeah, before I start itching and like scratching and crawling.
You're like, I don't know what to do with my life right now. Cody, how long do you think you could last?
A while, a long time. I've done it multiple times overseas. I don't need a cell phone.
No, like right now though, like obviously you could go without a lot of things overseas, like when you're like busy all the time and you're having to like hump it through the mountains of Afghanistan. But I'm talking about right here, right now in South Georgia, sitting here in the office before the show, and you didn't have your phone.
I do the whole show with that, whatever.
That's the most unconvincing. You said
I would.
I do
the whole show, whatever. You sound ridiculous. You're like, I can't go. Cam, you sound
I don't
ridiculous.
think I sound ridiculous.
30 minutes.
I think I sound honest. I think we're both being honest here. Like, I would not blame you if like now you said, I left my phone at home. I need to go get it. Like, because I think there's a few reasons for that too. Is like, number one, kids don't have phone numbers memorized anymore. So if like something happened with your kids, neither one of them would be able to be like, oh, my dad's work phone number is 912.
I have my MacBook.
But they're going to call you on your MacBook. Like,
yes, they're all Apple.
It's going to pop up your phone.
It's going
to pop up on your phone.
It's going to pop up on my MacBook.
All right, I'm just making sure. I'm just making sure because I am worried about
you. Have a MacBook.
I know.
You know
I understand this. I know you're older than me, so I want to make sure that you know how to handle all that.
Yeah, I know how to handle all of it.
I'm just making sure because, like Kevin, I think was just like, you know what? If anything happened to the boys, Amy's got it. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the thought process there though, Kevin? Was if something happened that was an emergency, you're like, yeah, Amy will handle it, or it can wait.
There's still nothing mostly important that can't wait.
He said there's nothing that can't wait. So there you go. No, if I'm being completely honest, if I was up here and I didn't have my phone, I'd be like, Cody, show is yours until I get back.
Well, he comes from the times of like carrier pigeons and like all that stuff, and like across country, like horse rides when you got to get a note to someone like Paul Revere.
Okay, cool. All of y'all have iPhones. I know Kevin doesn't, so I don't know if your phone does the screen report, but how embarrassing is your screen report on your phone?
Oh no, let's check.
Like, I'm not giving y'all my actual details, but Cam, how embarrassing is it every week when you get that report?
It's embarrassing. Yeah, it's embarrassing. It usually, other than when I'm asleep, that's the time. So probably like 14, 15 hours a day.
A day?
Jesus.
14, 15 hours a day?
Because I watch a lot of YouTube. I do. That's like my TV.
Wow,
so I supplement that for TV.
My average, mine's the most is YouTube. YouTube, then Instagram, 4.5 hours a week. I mean, a day.
Oh, okay. I'm not mine. Let me correct. My average has went down recently, so it's 8 hours and 46 minutes.
Okay, my average is 5 hours and 36 minutes. But you want to know how I'm a sick person? Like a sick person. Last week I averaged an hour and 53 minutes a day on Twitter.
Oh yeah, that's not healthy.
But to be fair, as the person that puts together and produces the rundown for this show and the 3-hour afternoon show, Twitter's like the main news source, and it's like where you can see all the stories. Like, for example, Cam, have you seen what is happening with Kwame Brown?
No.
He wants all the smoke from Steven Jackson and Gilbert Arenas and Matt Barnes. Like, wants all the smoke from those guys. Apparently, on the All the Smoke podcast with Steven Jackson, they were making fun of him for being a bust. And saying if he actually cared about basketball, he could have been a generational talent. I guess after 20 years of being called a bust, because for people who don't know, played at Glen Academy, number 1 overall draft pick by the Wizards, but played with the Lakers and scored a single point in the Kobe's 81-point game. Mm-hmm. And so, like, inside of all that, he's like, who cares if I only scored a point? Kobe and I scored 82 points and we won the game. And I was like, I respect that. And he's like, y'all see those screens I was setting for Kobe out there? You're not putting up 81 without those screens. But there's a lot of suggestive language in there. You can find it on his Instagram. It's on Twitter as well. But basically, there's a lot of former players I wouldn't want any smoke with. Kwame Brown is probably on that list. And he kind of looked at Steven Jackson and the rest of them and said, your podcast is named All the Smoke? Sure doesn't sound like you want all the smoke. Because he hit back. They said, hey, man, we got nothing but love for you. He's like, oh, now you got nothing but love when I hit back with the response video. I mean, Kwame Brown, Cam.
6'11", dude. I ain't messing with that guy.
But I mean, think about who's the one saying it. It's like Steven Jackson. Steven Jackson isn't a small person either, right? But I mean, Kwame Brown, I mean, that was pretty wild. When I saw Kwame Brown trending on Twitter last night, I was like, this is it going to be good one way or the other? Because you don't just start trending out of nowhere after 20 years. And so,
yeah, he's probably sensitive about it. I mean, look how long Stephen A's been on him for a long time. It's been like
real
15, 16 years.
But again, it's like, I guess a person can only take so much of it, of being called a bust repeatedly. And
Kwame don't care. He's a millionaire. He don't care.
And being the butt of your joke. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the best quotes he said is, you're talking about a kid who at 5 told his mom he was going to put her on the golf course, and he did it at 18.
Yep.
So, I mean,
I just looked up. He's worth millions and millions and millions.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's the number 1 overall pick.
He don't care.
He had a, I believe, 12-year NFL or NBA career.
Yeah. And he's doing well.
Yeah,
hey,
he ain't
whatever.
He ain't hurting for cash, but still, I thought that was fascinating over the weekend with Kwame Brown. But speaking of the NBA, Cam, we have locked up the NBA playoff seedings. You promised us last week that the Los Angeles Lakers would not be in the play-in tournament. And not only, Cody, are they in the play-in tournament, they have to take on Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors. That is just a horrifying proposition for any team, mainly a team that has been banged up all year, has vastly underperformed, and their best player is still banged up. Steph Curry is the last person you want to see, Cam.
I mean, you're right, but let me say this. I watched all this week. Everybody's dodging this smoke, with the Lakers. The Clippers set out their whole starting 5 the last 2 games. Denver lost on purpose last night, so Lakers couldn't get the 6th seed. It's fine. I've been watching it. It's fine. It's cool. We're going to go ahead and get Golden State out the way Wednesday, and then get Phoenix out in 5 or 6. We're fine. It looks beautiful. It's set up beautiful.
Like 45 points on you guys, dude. Just because everybody's counting them out, Steph Curry is about to blaze these people. I do not think the Lakers will make it past Steph Curry.
Okay, so here's the thing, Cody, and I think that's a fair mistake you just made right there. The Lakers have 2 chances to win 1. So even
it's just one. It's just single elimination this time.
That's what I thought.
The way I have read this is this: the 9 and 10 seeds have to win 2 games to get in. The 7 and 8 seeds have to win 1 game, and they'll have 2 chances to do that. So when 9 and 10 play each other, whoever loses that game is gone. But then the next one will advance to the game of the loser against the other 2.
That's hard. Yeah. Yeah, no, I still think Golden State's going to take it. Just I want to go against Cam. That's the only reason why. I want to go against Cam.
We've owned Golden State this year. 28 and a 30-point win. We owned them this year. We'll be fine.
You guys were healthy during those times too. So
yeah, we were healthy, but I mean, the way we look these last few games, I mean, we look I like how LeBron's out there looking. He looks spring. He looks fresh, rejuvenated. I like it.
Yes,
So
So here you go.
yeah,
The
he looks
Lakers are
rejuvenated.
the 7 seed. Golden State's are the 8 seed. Those two teams have to win one game.
Yeah.
They have to win one game to get in,
Mhm.
but they are allowed to lose one.
Yep.
Right? So if, for example, Cam, let's just go with your Lakers here. If the Lakers lose to Golden State's in. They advance, they won their one game. The Lakers would then play the winner of Memphis San Antonio. That's
Yep.
how it's a tournament. You have to play the winner of Memphis San Antonio, and the winner of Memphis San Antonio would then have to beat the Lakers. So the 9-10 seeds have to win 2 to get in.
This is so weird.
Have to win 2 to get in. I mean, basically, it sounds a whole lot like we want our best teams to get in. And
Pretty
we're just like,
much.
we're going to expand the field, but we want more games. So we're going to give them 2 chances to win 1 game.
Dude, this is so weird.
But that being
This is
said,
so weird.
That being
man.
said, if Steph Curry comes out and just lights up LeBron
dumb.
and the Lakers, then they're in, and all of a sudden the Lakers are looking at a single elimination game against probably Memphis. So you're still feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm feeling good about Wednesday.
Well,
I'm feeling good. I think we want that 7 seed so we can play Phoenix and get on the other side of the bracket from the Clippers. So we go ahead and play the Clippers conference finals.
See, I know I don't like doubting LeBron because he doesn't care as long as
I
he
don't
gets
doubt
into
LeBron.
playoffs.
I don't
dude.
doubt
Yeah.
LeBron. I doubt the health of the Lakers.
Okay.
Yeah.
They haven't been healthy all season. And there's a difference between we kind of talked about this with Travis Darno with the Braves is, oh, look, this is the date we can get Travis Darno back.
Yeah.
What are you getting back?
Yep.
Like, what kind of player are you getting back? So I do not doubt fully healthy that the Los Angeles Lakers are probably the best team in the NBA. When was the last time, Cam, they were fully healthy?
Valentine's Day.
All right. So like that's
Dang.
where we're at with the Lakers right
That's
now.
when AD
But
got hurt. Yeah.
I still think the Nets are the best team. In the
flipping
league.
to the home side, the Atlanta Hawks, they come in at number 5, even though they have the same record as the New York Knicks, but they will take on the Knicks, who get the 4 seed there. So the Knicks are technically the home seed, even though the Hawks had a better record inside of their division and in the conference. The deciding factor, though, the New York Knicks were 3-0 against the Atlanta Hawks in the season. But for fans out there who are like, oh, that means the Knicks are about to sweep out the Hawks, bear in mind, the first 2 losses came when Lloyd Pierce was still the head coach for the Hawks. And the last game, the Hawks were up 6 in the third when Trae Young got hurt against the Knicks, or that game probably goes a different ways. And that's before the Hawks started getting everybody back like they have right now. So, Cam, just your quick thoughts on that series before we get into it coming up next week.
This will be part of the best first round series all the playoffs because both teams are even but different playing styles. Right now, if I had to choose, man, I would probably have to go Knicks in 7 because the home court advantage is going to mean a lot in this series. So, but the Hawks, they're going in the right direction. I'm excited.
Exactly what Stephen A. Smith said. I think Stephen A. Smith said he has the Knicks in 7.
No, I got the Hawks in 6. Knicks, have been the playoffs since 2013.
Hawks haven't been there since 2016.
I'm just saying,
It's a whole new team,
and it's the Knicks. And
I don't know, man.
I think the Hawks are going to win this one, and I don't think they're going to win another series after this. But I do think they will win against the Knicks. This is the matchup the Hawks wanted anyway.
Julius Randle scares me, but Derrick Rose, like coming off as a 6-man, scares me as well. Just because, like, you're talking about people with playoff experience.
Yeah,
like, you have to go up against a Derrick Rose. Like, the Hawks don't have a ton of guys with a lot of playoff experience. That being said, Clint Capella on the inside does give me a modicum of comfort. Correct me if I'm wrong, Cam. I'm pretty sure he was the NBA's rebounding champion for this year.
Ooh. I believe it. Him? No, it's not Drummond anymore. So it probably is Clint Capella.
I'm pretty sure Clint Capella led the league in rebounds this year. So that does give me a little bit of hope coming up. And obviously the Hawks can score with anybody that's been playing better defense under Nate McMillan. And I do think it might come down like
Clint Capella,
said.
Yep.
Yeah, Clint Capella led the league.
Per game, 14.3, almost a full rebound.
Yeah, my dude ain't messing around. He's banging for the boards right there. So, but that being said, I am excited just to have playoff basketball back for the city of Atlanta, for the Hawks. We'll carry those games for you. We'll keep you updated as to the schedule of those because we won't know until the play-in tournament's done what that schedule is going to look like for the first round. But obviously we carry the Braves and the Hawks, and so we'll keep you up to date on the schedule when we find out what it is. But we mentioned the Atlanta Braves there. They take 2 out of 3 from Milwaukee over the weekend. Yesterday, a wild game, but you got a player hit a pretty significant milestone, and you have a huge series coming up against the NL East leading New York Mets coming up starting tonight, actually, with Max Fried on the mound for the Braves. So we'll dive into all that when we come back right here on Second Down. Second Down on ESPN Radio is presented to you by the Uniform Source. Glad you're hanging out with us on this Monday afternoon. If you miss any portion of the show, check us out on Spotify, SoundCloud, or Apple Podcasts. Everything is archived on ESPNCoastal.com as well. And you have to get out of the car. You want to keep listening. You're disagreeing. You think the Knicks are going to take the Hawks out in 4. Take us with you. ESPNCoastal.com. Listen to the live stream right there. You can take us with you wherever you go. But, guys, the Braves with a big one coming up tonight. Finally get to see the New York Mets for the Braves. And this is the NL East leading New York Mets. Cody, they've given up the least amount of runs in the NL East. The pitching has been on point, even with DeGrom, I believe, going to the 10-day IL. But probably the best, at least off to the start, rotation in the NL East. We get to see them in a really good matchup coming up tonight. Taywan Walker against Max Fried. Walker has a 2.2 ERA and a 3-1 record coming up, and that's through 41 innings. He struck out 39 batters and has walked 18, only given up 1 home run on the year. And that is an important note, I think, because right now the Braves are leading the majors in home runs. You actually have the number 1 and number 2 home run leaders in the NL in Ronald Acuna and Freddie Freeman.
Nice.
And Ronald Acuna has missed 2 series so far this year, one with that ab injury and then missed the entire series over the weekend against the Milwaukee Brewers. But you do take 2 out of 3 from the Brewers. Kind of a weird game yesterday. Huascar Ynoa.
A lot of runs.
Yeah, he'd given you 3 or 4 straight really good starts after a bad start to start off the season. Still really young, 22 years old. So day game, good lineup for the Brewers. Just didn't really have his A stuff, so not a great start from him.
19 total runs in that game, though, so both sides.
Well, I was going to say the Braves were down 8-3, and Freddie Freeman came to the plate, sit on 249 career home runs, and just yoked a grand slam to center field. That got him to 250 there, but you do wind up losing that game 10-9. More issues with the bullpen there, and you're starting to see more moves being made for the Braves, optioning guys up and down, just trying to find that consistency with the bullpen, because I remember the days of, let's see, it would have been Eric O'Flaherty coming out in the 7th. Then you go to listen, we're going in the Wayback Machine.
Yeah, you're going way
back. We're going in the Wayback Machine. But the Braves bullpen, like, people were surprised about how good it was last year. But I mean, going back 5, 6, 7 years, the bullpen I always thought was a really solid piece for the Braves. I always thought they did a really good job going out and picking those guys up. But you would have Eric O'Flaherty, and then they'd have a solid guy in the 8th, and then go to Craig Kimbrell in the 9th. And you just knew if you got to the 7th inning with a lead, you could pretty much shut it down. And that's kind of how it felt last year, right? Is you knew once you got to the 7th, 8th, and 9th, it was going to be either Matzik or Chris Martin, Shane Green, and then Mark Melancon, right? Well, you didn't re-sign Shea Green until a week ago. Mark Melancon elected to sign with the Padres, who have an unbelievable pitching staff now, just because he wanted to be back on the West Coast. And so you're without those 2 guys for a significant portion of the season. And then I think a couple other guys just really not performing like you had expected them to. I'll say this. I'll give Luke Jackson credit. I think he has been much better this season, and you're not overusing him like we have in the past. But that being said, I think the starting pitching is starting to come around. The lineup itself is starting to come around. Ozzie Albies all of a sudden has caught fire. Marcell Ozuna all of a sudden is hitting the ball really well. And then Freddie Freeman over his last game, this is courtesy of Dave O'Brien, over his past 8 games, 10 for 31, 4 home runs, and 9 RBIs. So that's
the old MVP we know, baby.
He's starting to find his rhythm. But Cam, I know we're only a quarter way through the season so far, but you're 2 games back in the NL East. The New York Mets currently lead the NL East. You got swept a series before, come back, take 2-1 from the Brewers. You're feeling a little bit better about where you're at right now. This just feels like a real important series coming up against the New York Mets. They've pitched really well. You've hit really well. And so I think this will be an interesting combination between the 2 different teams. But it is a home game. You're 2 games back. This just feels like a big series to me.
Yeah, it's the most important series because, you lost yesterday 10-9. Win that, you're 20-20, good to go. Kind of get back at 500. But like you said, Braves haven't been above 500 all year. They just been teetering below 500, right at 500, and this is their chance. I don't know if we're looking for a sweep. We go 2-1, but either way, you want to come out here feeling good, successful. You want to win this series because this is a divisional foe, top of your division. And this is, you want to take advantage of this, especially being at home. You have to see them in a couple of weeks anyway, at the end of May, again, on the road trip.
Sweep. I'd feel fine with a 2 out of 3 in this one. And you got to feel good, right? You do have Max Fried on the bump and then Drew Smiley coming up a little bit later in the series as well. And people are like, oh, Drew Smiley. Go look at what he's done over his past 2 appearances, 12 innings pitched, 1 earned run.
It's nice.
So Drew Smiley's been better throughout this. But again, the Mets come in, have to play you, and then they have to hit the road and take on the Marlins, who haven't been bad. And then they have the Rockies for the 4-game set at home.
Great.
So
that's easy for them.
If you keep sputtering, they're hitting a pretty easy portion of their schedule. I feel like you got to take 2 out of 3 in this series coming up against the Mets. That being said, you do have the Pittsburgh Pirates, who are 18-23 right now, coming to town for a 4-game set after that. So
7 games straight at home, 7 games straight playing too.
Yeah, I think the dream is obviously 7-0, but I think more realistically, what you want to ask for is 5-2. Out of this, win the series against the Mets, take 3 out of 4 against the Pirates, and all of a sudden, Cam, you are above 500 for the first time all season, and you're feeling good about where you're at. I'd be happy with that, Cody. But again, a big series coming up against the New York Mets, and again, we kind of talked about this a little bit on Friday, and I've seen some people putting out the stuff on Twitter. And when I say some people, I mean folks with blue check marks next to their name on Twitter who commentate on baseball for a living, saying, is this on Brian Snitker?
Stop.
And I know there's a ton of fans out there because we have them comment on the stream and they call in. Of course it's Brian Snitker's fault. He's the one who decides to put the guys in from the bullpen. I'll say this. A few things. Number one, Brian Snitker does not determine the budget for the Atlanta Braves. And so when you're complaining about them not re-signing Freddie Freeman, about them not being able to go out and get a huge arm in free agency, Brian Snitker doesn't set the budget for the Atlanta Braves. Number two, Brian Snitker hasn't thrown a pitch all year. Has 0 ABs all year.
He'd blow out a shoulder.
Nah, Brian Snitker's going out there pumping like 85 and locating it too. Yeah, you don't want that smoke from him or Ron Washington, because Ron Washington could probably still play the hot corner. I see him out there at third base. Yeah, you don't want that smoke from either one of those guys. But again, Brian Snitker hasn't had an AB all year. He's not the one who plays shortstop for you, who's gotten eaten up a few times in the field and swings at everything. Swings at everything and has a terrible average right now. Brian Snitker has no recorded stats this year, right? What he is doing is using the guys who he took to within a game of the World Series last year, and they just haven't performed the same way. I don't know how you can put that on him. And he's been bringing guys up and down. Sean Newcomb, he started to come up a little bit. He was playing really well in the bullpen, got a little dinged up, had to go back down. He's back up again. Cam, this is the equivalent of being a team that made it to the conference championship and was playing competitively into the fourth quarter in the NFL, right? You're in the conference championship, wind up losing the game in the fourth quarter, and then you're ready to fire your coach the next year because you're 2-2. Your quarterback has a lot of interception and the defense can't cover anybody. Like, that's basically the equivalent is you're ready to fire him because of that.
Yeah, people forget it's hard to make these title runs or these conference appearances back-to-back years. It's hard to do that, but you should never jump the gun. How are you going to be good if you don't have stability or like just being able to be straight within the front office? Like, you're never going to be able to make a run if you're trying to fire somebody after one bad year or a bad stretch throughout the season. So everybody just needs to be patient. They've only played 40 something games. There's 140 left. Be patient. Why are you rushing?
Yeah, right around there.
Yeah, why rush it? Be patient. The Braves are going to be just fine. I keep telling everybody that the Braves will be just fine. It's nothing to stress about.
They're 2 games below from leading the division. They're 2 games away. Like, everybody chill out. It's a very competitive division. Obviously this Mets series is going to be huge from the beginning, but then just like you were saying, you're going to play them again in like a few series.
But
so,
again, I just think
like
the overall mentality and the flow of the season, I think this series is
he was saying the same. It's so early.
It is early, but I do think this is important because there's a few different ways this series can go. You can wind up a game out because you go 2 out of 3. You could wind up with the division lead if you sweep them, or, I mean, you could go out 3 or 4 games back in the division.
Well,
Depending
if
on
you
how it
get
goes.
smoked,
Yeah,
this
depending-
different.
depending
But
on how it goes.
I don't see them getting completely swept.
But I mean, just looking at some of the arms last year who were really solid for you throughout the postseason and in that 60-game season. Will Smith, who's your closer, is an 0-3 record with a 4.5 ERA. Josh Tomlin right now has a 6.86 ERA. AJ Minter at 4.58 ERA. Tyler Matzik has a 3.18 ERA. Luke Jackson is really the only one with an ERA you want to see coming out of your bullpen with a 1.76.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the guys like Smith, Tomlin, Minter, Matzik have let you down.
Will Smith needs to be sent down.
You can't send Will Smith down, but he doesn't need to be your closer anymore. I mean,
Okay.
7th, 8th inning setup guy, I think that's fine, but he doesn't need to be your closer anymore. I think when Shane Green gets back, that job probably is going to be his.
Yeah.
And he can come out
I
and
assume
throw
so.
well. But I mean, again, we're getting
Ben Anderson. This guy.
Yeah, people writing in. No, he doesn't control the payroll, but he does manage it. Again, he hasn't thrown a pitch.
Yeah.
Right? Like, again, AJ Minter last year, unbelievable for you out of the bullpen. If you let him go, people would have been crushing you. And then you come back this year, AJ Minter can't throw a strike.
Was it his fault the other day where Will Smith threw 13 pitches and gave up, 3-4 runs?
Yeah, and literally
is that his fault?
Literally didn't record an out.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Right. So I'm not putting this on Snit, man. Snit has won 3 straight division titles, went to the NLCS last year, and the team's 2 game back in the division right now. I think everybody needs to calm down a little bit again. Braves coming up tonight. You have Max Fried on the mound for the Atlanta Braves. No news yet on Ronald Acuna, but hopefully we can see him coming back soon. I kind of get why he wouldn't play yesterday. You already missed the first 2 games of that series. Why are you going to play in the early day game when he's dealing with an ankle injury? Let him rest. Hopefully get him back for tonight against a big, important series for the New York Mets. We got more to come here on Second Down, though. We'll dive into some college football talk when we come back. Welcome back into Second Down right here on ESPN Radio. Christian Gokel alongside Cody Queen and Cam Urshery. 3 and Out coming up next. BJ Bennett, Ben Troop, and Kevin Thomas. Going to dive into the huge series coming up with the New York Mets for the Atlanta Braves. Also take a look at some rookie mini camps. Y'all hear the latest news around Travis Etienne, sure to get all the haters up in a tizzy, Cody?
No, I've not heard.
Only working him out at wide receiver during rookie mini camp, but apparently that's because Trevor Lawrence coming off of labrum surgery this past, I think 2 or 3 months ago is when he had the surgery. This past offseason though,
February, I think,
and he should be back in full bore. Well, he's already back, but I'm just like full tilt coming up for camp. They're limiting his throws, and also they just weren't doing running back drills with him because they didn't want anybody bumping into him. And so Travis Etienne, they're like, do you mind just working out with the wide receivers? And he's like, I'm a rookie. I'm not going to argue with you. Yeah, I'll do that. Also, Cam, you see what number old Travis Etienne is going to be rocking for the Jags?
What number?
1.
Oh, I like now. That's smooth. That's smooth. These jerseys going to be smooth this year. Like Devontae Smith, number 6. What is Pitts, number? What Kyle Pitts is what, number 8?
Number 8.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is gonna be awesome. College
It's
football.
Jaguars jersey, so it's not going to be.
I
slick.
like the
It's
Jags.
just-
Nah,
And the teal and the black, and I like more simplistic uniforms. I like the Jags. I like them. I'll say this: I like them better than any other Jags uniforms. Like
that's
over the Bolger era ones, over the Gerard era ones.
Really?
Certainly over
Maurice Jones-Drew.
I don't know. They're all ugly. There's
Jalen
none of
Ramsey,
them are good.
Where it was like they couldn't afford to spray paint the entire helmet, so they
Yeah.
just spray painted the back of it. Yeah, those could go down the road as well. So I kind of like these new Jags uniforms. But that being said, I do want to get y'all's opinion on this because PFF College has put out some of their predictions for breakout players of the year in college football. And one of the ones that keeps coming up is Adam Anderson, outside linebacker, kind of defensive end hybrid for Georgia. Wears number 19 for the fans out there who watched. And Cam, when he's on the field, it seems like he's unblockable. And I think what we've heard from Brooks Austin and other people is they didn't really trust him on rundowns, is what people have said. Like when you get up against big offensive lines and they just want to kind of lean on you, Adam Anderson didn't really have the body like an Azeez Ojulari, who he was trying to play over, to sit in there and go first, second, third, fourth down. He was more of a situational rusher. But all indications are Georgia with this defense wants to go back to what you saw in 2017, which is where the base defense a lot of times would be 3 down linemen, and then you would have Lorenzo Carter and Davin Bellamy on the outside who are playing those outside linebacker spots, and you'd have Roquan Smith in the middle there, depending on what formation they came out with, sending in another inside linebacker or putting in another defensive back. I kind of love that, Cam, because I start looking at that front seven and how many times does a breakout player, it doesn't really matter what the sport is, right? Like, for example, Freddie Freeman wasn't an MVP until you put Ronald Acuna on one side of him and Marcel Ozuna on the other side, right? To where you couldn't pitch around him. So many times we see these breakout players come from the fact that the team around them gets better, and so it allows them to show out a little bit. When I look at Adam Anderson, who we've known what he is. He is a edge rushing specialist. Did it all the way back when he was playing for Rome in high school, right? Unbelievable athlete.
Huge, 6'5".
Well, but slender.
Yeah,
Slender.
like 30.
Again, more Lorenzo Carter than and like Floyd than Davin Bellamy, right?
Okay,
like,
yeah.
He's not quite as thick. He's more slender and can get around you, right? He's not built like a Khalil Mack, right? He's tall and slender but can move. And again, I wouldn't want to line up against him, but again, not huge. But the fact that if you go across the line of scrimmage, right, Adam Anderson will be rushing off an end, but next to him will probably be Devontae Wyatt, and then inside of him will be Jordan Davis, and then on the other side of him will be Travon Walker with his hand in the ground, right? And then standing up next to them would be Nolan Smith, who we're still waiting to break out, or another one of the outside linebackers with Nakobe Dean behind them. I think this is a situation where Georgia's front seven is so good, it's going to allow Adam Anderson some of those one-on-one opportunities with a tackle or, God forbid, a running back, to where you're saying, look, I just need you to win.
Yep.
They're going to have to double team Jordan Davis. I need you to win rushing off the edge. I think that sets it up, Cam, for Adam Anderson to have a big season, especially with Azeez Ojulari moving on.
See, Christian, it's May. and you're getting me excited already. It's all, everything you name it. That was you just preaching the gospel. But yeah, if they go back to what they were doing in 2017, why not have the success? And he's the breakout player. When you start saying Carter, Bellamy, Leonard Floyd, guys like that, those are top tier college football like defensive players. So he has a chance. There's a lot of guys on this defense. We don't really know a lot in the secondary. They could be breakout players. But going back to that defense from 2017, yeah, I would love to see something similar like that.
And Cody, it's the last time really Georgia had a dominant defense. It's all relative, right? Georgia's pretty much had top defenses every year since 2017, but there's just a difference between 2018 and 2017, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just what didn't have quite that edge that 2017 defense had. I feel like if you set it up that way, and again, all indications are from the reporters we have covering the team in and around fall camp is that's what they're leaning to with this defense. I like it for a couple of reasons. Number one, you're going back to what worked, but number two is you are saying we're willing to go with three guys on the defensive line that can eat your run alive, right?
Yeah.
If you want to pick up 2 yards on first down, 2 yards on second down, that's fine. It's 3rd and 6, right? We can leave Adam Anderson on the field because we feel comfortable knowing that you're going to throw it on first or second down, and he's our best edge rusher. I like that. I like not having to use a guy specifically for just third downs.
Yeah, he's a QB hawk. Second on the team last year in QB pressures, 6.5 sacks last year, second on the team. This year, I think he'll get double-digit sacks. I think he's going to be a high draft pick. I think he's amazing. 6'5", 230 pounds, very fast, comes off the snap real quick. I'm reading some stats on him right now. He had 2 sacks against Auburn, and dude, he's a beast.
Seven sacks.
The ceiling, he had 6.5 sacks last year. His ceiling is a high ceiling. It's all about what they do with him.
He's a 5-star kid coming out of Rome, Georgia. And then on the other side of it, a guy you're hoping breaks out, a local kid, Nolan Smith.
Let's go, baby.
Out of IMG, but originally out of Savannah. You're hoping he can break out, but he's kind of dealt with the same things, which, let's be completely honest, he's got eaten up a few times by some SEC tackles, right, where they kind of moved him. And he's shown flashes. I'm thinking it's Auburn his freshman year where he set the edge on a play, and you could just tell he was different. It was a true freshman in the SEC setting an edge. It looked different, but I think an entire year being able to take reps with the ones is really going to help him out. Another guy, though, quickly I want to transition that I think could have a breakout year. And when I think of breakout player, I mean, I don't necessarily think of somebody everybody's pointing to and is like, oh, this guy's going to be one of the best players in college football.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, old DJ5 up at Clemson, if he comes out and throws for 4,000 yards and 50 touchdowns, it's a great year. But I don't know if that's really a breakout year because it's kind of expected now from the quarterback at Clemson. Keep an eye out for Kayshon Boutte out of LSU.
Yeah, dude. I said that.
Yeah, big wide receiver out of there. I know, Cody, you just love LSU wide receivers.
Yes.
Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr. You've had 2 taken in the first round the past couple of years, and Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. You really like Marshall that just got drafted as well. But Boutte, I think, is the next in line. In only 10 games last season, and mind you, this is as a
7 or some yards.
This is a true freshman. 735 yards, 5 touchdowns, 16.3 yards per catch. Just an unbelievable season for him, Cody. And it's an LSU offense that is really trying to get back on track after struggling last year. And they've made wholesale changes to the offense and defensive coordinators. Talk about defense and maybe like the best duo in the country. It might be Eli Ricks and Derek Stingley. I mean, those are your 2 corners. I feel pretty good about building out my defense from there. But I mean, really started catching fire late in the year for LSU. Again, true freshman last year. You look through his season, 1 reception, 3 reception, 5 receptions, 1. Go to the last 3 games against Alabama in a loss, 8 receptions, 111 yards. At Florida, 5 receptions, 108 yards, and a touchdown in that win in the Swamp. And then against Mississippi or Ole Miss, 308 yards on 14 receptions. Now, I get it. Yeah. 14 receptions, 380 yards. That comes with a caveat. Kevin Harris in South Carolina led the SEC in rushing last year. I think over 250 of those yards came against Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure all the Alabama offensive players won all their awards specifically for the fact that their stats were boosted when they put up 63 points on Ole Miss. So Ole Miss defense, not great. But look at the 2 games before that. How many human beings in existence do you think can say in their career and just in their career period, and he did it in back-to-back weeks, had over 100 yards against Alabama and Florida.
A freshman too.
But no, I'm just serious. Like,
I'm just saying.
how many human beings in their entire career do you think can say they had 100 yards against Alabama and 100 yards against Florida?
It's got to be the most
It's a
rare,
very select
thing,
club, if I have to imagine. He did it in back-to-back games as a true freshman.
So PFF came out with their top 10. Me and BJ were talking about that while 3 and Out was going on. And I told him that I would have Butte in the top 10 of the PFF rankings. And he pretty much agreed with me. And dude, he's going to be an animal next year.
I think
and he's going to be the number one target.
Keep in mind, especially like when you get to PFF and S&P Plus and all that, is they have their own algorithms and formula. And so though they may disagree, they stick to whatever their algorithm for the most part tells them about who's the top returning player, because they do their PFF grades and all that. So even if you think he's better, they still have to factor in the first 7-8 games of the season into their grades and projecting that out. But yeah, no, I think very realistic chance, especially with George Pickens getting hurt, that he's top 3-4 wide receiver.
And look who he practiced with, dude. You're just saying that probably the top 2
corners. Yeah, he definitely learned from some dudes there. We got to take a quick break though. We'll come back. Final segment of Second Down next. Welcome back into Second Down right here on ESPN Radio. Big show coming up today
Ben
on
Troop!
3 and Out as Ben Troop walks into the studio. But again, huge series coming up tonight for the Braves. Big series coming up for the Hawks against the Knicks. Cam, I want to see the Hawks win for a couple of reasons. Number one, first playoff appearance since 2013, or 2016, excuse me, but I'm petty. And if you listen to ESPN Radio, all you hear is them talking about the Knicks and the Knicks and the Knicks and the Knicks and how happy they are that they got the Hawks in the first round. I want a week of just listening to them complain about getting beat by the Hawks. So I'm looking forward to it, Cam.
Yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully the Hawks win. I am rooting for the Hawks. I'm not a Knicks fan, so I'm excited.
I know. And again, that series coming up, they get the home court advantage, even though they had the same record because the Knicks won 3 straight in that series. One of them did come when Trae Young got hurt there in the third quarter, though, and the first 2 prior to Lloyd Pierce's being fired. So that's coming up. Also got Braves and Mets coming up for you tonight, but 3 and Out coming up next.